this is Edna with Squire Photography. Today I am going to teach you how to make somebody thinner when you can't use the Liquify tool because you have a textured background. Now, I get a bunch of plus size brides, probably because I'm chunky and plus size myself, and maybe they feel comfortable, or I am known very well for my photoshopping skills, and every girl wants to look thinner in her wedding images. And here my beautiful, lovely bride volunteered herself for this Photoshop tutorial. A lot of people actually came forward on my Facebook post and wanted to be a volunteer for this, but I needed to find something that was exactly like this. We have a lot of texture here in the background, and normally a photographer would go into filter and liquify and just sort of do this, right? But you can't do that. You can't liquify when you have a tremendous amount of layers, a tremendous amount of texture in your background and repetitive patterns and stuff. So we can't do that. We can't do that here. We can't do that here without it looking warped and weird. So I'm going to cancel out of here, and I'm going to teach you how to do this. This is a pretty more advanced technique for photoshopping, and it does require a tremendous amount of time. So I don't do this for every image. I just do it for the important images in an album, or if there's going to be an enlargement made or a canvas print or something. Otherwise, this would take you an eternity if you did this with every single photograph. And I try my best not to even take a photograph in textured backgrounds like this. I try to do most of my photography in front of foliage or plain walls, especially if I have a little bit heavier bride or a little bit more plus size bride, so that it's easy to liquify and you don't have to be worried about this. But this is a perfect example for what we need. So I'm gonna start by showing you how to, let's say we want to liquefy this arm right here. Not liquefy, I'm sorry, but thin out the arm because we can't liquefy it. So we're going to go to the marquee tool right here, and we are going to grab this background, this part of this background from somewhere else in the photograph. So here we have this corner right here. Right here is where we want to take care of a little bit of that arm, and we have the same corner here. And normally you'll find corners also and images from another photograph. Like if you're taking a bunch of pictures of girls and guys and family, you're going to have different pieces in different photographs where you're going to be able to take from. So here we're going to take this piece right here, and we're going to press copy. That's Control C. And then Control V. So this is the paste, watch, right here. See that? And we're going to put that right here until it pretty much looks like it blends in. And it doesn't have to be perfect, just pretty good. I'm going to use my arrow keys here. I'm going to stretch that out just a little bit and bring it in just a little bit. It might be a little bit off. It might not be totally perfect. So just do the best that you can to make it look as good as possible. I think that looks pretty good to me. Again, not perfect, but pretty good. I'm going to press enter. And now you see this is the background that I want, and I want to carve her arm out of that. So I'm going to go to Layer, Layer Mask, Hide All. Again, that's Layer, Layer Mask, Hide All. Okay? And here you see it's gone now. And I have the layer mask up here, and it's in black. So I'm going to use white, a white brush, to remove this part of the arm. Now, this is where some people kind of mess this up. Every single edge to a part of a body or a dress or something has a particular amount of sharpness on it, right? So here I focus on the eyes, and the eyes are going to be sharp, but this part of the skin is already getting soft. You see that? You see that that is soft? It's not a super crisp line. It's a little bit soft. You need to match your brush to the softness or the hardness of the edge that you're working on. I hope that makes sense. So, for instance, I'm going to grab the brush right here, the brush tool, and I'm going to go up to here, and I have the softness, always the softest brush that is available, and I'm going to add hardness to it. So if we go to like 100% and we brush on white, here's white, you see how sharp that line looks? It looks ridiculous. It doesn't go. So we're going to press Control Z, and we're going to go softer. Let's say right there, and then we can try it. That's a little bit too soft, I think. Let's see. No, actually, it's still a little bit hard. We're going to go a little softer right there. And that is right on the money, I think. You see that? It matches the line here that we haven't touched. So I think that's perfect. And we're going to go through and we're going to do this. It's not going to be absolutely perfect because this part of the wall was a little bit softer, but it's okay. It looks pretty good. Now we're going to press X again, and we're going to bring some of it back. I use nice, large, broad strokes. And I'll just go back and forth and back and forth. See, right there. Smooth it out a little bit. And that looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. That's made a big difference already right there. And I'm pretty happy with that. I think I'm going to leave that part alone right there. And now here on this part, we can definitely liquefy because there's nothing that's getting in the way of us being able to liquefy that. So we'll go to that background image and select liquefy, and I always just bring that in just a little bit. And I don't want people not to look like themselves. It would look ridiculous if she was like size 0. And she's not, and we just want her to be the best version of herself. There we go. We can do that one for here too while we're here. And a little bit here. And then here we can absolutely liquefy because it's just hair and dress and there's no real pattern that we need to worry about. So that makes a difference there. See, and you can't tell when you liquefy a little part of that, the flowers. Where we can liquefy, we will, because it's just easier. Okay, that's perfect. I'm going to press OK. And here you can see the arm is much thinner. That looks pretty good. The background's a little bit soft, but nothing that anybody's going to notice. See, right there. Now, I'm going to go through and I'm going to add a background right here so we can make that tummy a little bit thinner and help out the bride a little bit too. And in this case, you wouldn't be able to do anything with Liquify. You can't stretch one, make the other person heavier to make another person thinner. So I'm going to move this out of the way here, and we're going to look for another pattern that would work. So this part right here, I think would fit perfectly right here. So we're on the background there, and we're going to grab our marquee tool up here, and we're going to copy this section right here. See that? I'm going to press Control C and Control V, and now we're going to grab that and bring it over. You see, I'm trying to keep it all around the same area right there. And again, guys, it doesn't have to be absolutely neurotically perfect. It just needs to look like it belongs. So here, we're going to now go into Layer, Layer Mask, Hide All. And we're going to do the whole thing with the brush again, right? We're looking for the exact right sized brush. So we're going to see if the last one worked for us. Sorry, let's go back in here and go to white. And I think it does work for us. I think that looks pretty good. Now I'm just sloppily going in and doing this just so that we can see if that's pretty good. And I like that. I think that looks pretty natural and pretty good. And now we're going to go in and refine that edge. So I'm going to go a little bit harder. Right. And now I'm going to press X and I'm going to start bringing it back. And I like to use nice large broad strokes. That looks perfect on that side. And again, we don't want to make her ridiculously anorexic or anything. We just want her to be a better version of herself, right? And bringing that little hole in here in the middle between both of them makes a really big difference. And this is where the leg would be right here. So this is where we're going to bring it in right there. We're going to make a little... There you go. You see how the leg is right here? So we want to make sure that that's there so that it doesn't look fake. Good. I think that looks really nice. It makes a big, look at what a big difference it's made here. That's a huge difference right there. We can go through and do this for this girl here. Now I will tell you, you notice how this is super bright back here? Well, there's a lot of light here, but there wouldn't be a lot of light here. So we're going to go through and we're going to grab the layer, not the layer mask here, but this layer. Click on that, press Control M, that'll bring up your curves, and darken it a little bit. That looks a lot more natural. You see that? Because the girls are standing in front of it. There's not going to be that much light. So we're going to press OK. Now that looks a lot better. Another thing that I like to do is I like to darken up the edges where I've cut away, because that's what naturally would happen. There'd be some shadow here. So we're going to do this. Right? I'm going to do that. I'm just using a soft brush, mid-tone exposures at about 10%. And a lot of times you can shape a tummy just by going in and darkening like this. So there you go. That made a big difference right there. Look at that. I'll show you a before and after with the history. See? Already what a big difference that has made, and we're not even done here. So here I can go through and I can liquefy a little bit in certain areas where there's not too much pattern, or like right here I can probably liquefy a little bit, like here, something that wouldn't look obvious, right? Like, because that wouldn't look obvious. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong, I'm on the, yeah, there you go. Here we go. So just to give it a little, give her a little bit more waist. I'm always liquefying towards the line. Like I'll never liquefy like this or like this. It's always in towards whatever line is there. So as long as it doesn't look too much. There we go. So we got to keep all those areas looking natural. So that looks pretty good. And then same here, I'm going to use the, let's see. All right, so here is a good sample of where you would look for this pattern somewhere else. So I need the edge of this egg-shaped thing here, and I don't have it anywhere else. So I'm going to look for it somewhere else, and here it is. I have it in another photograph, and that's how I do it. I'm going to grab the marquee tool. I'm going to copy this area, Control Copy, go back to this and press Paste, and I'm going to line it up. Now here, this is a little bit smaller than in the image that we need. So I'm going to drop the opacity down on this layer, and I'm going to try to make it about the same. I think it's pretty close to the same actually. Let's see. That looks pretty good. Yeah, I think it's the same. So if not, you can always press Control T and make it bigger or smaller or whatever you want to do. All right, so we're going to keep that there. Again, we're going to go to Layer, Layer Mask, Hide All, and we're going to do the same thing. Again, we're going to come up with a brush tool here, and we're going to work on that layer mask right there with the white brush. You can always just press X. And here we go. X. I'm just trying to get an idea if this looks good, so I'm going to look at it from farther away. It's already made a huge difference. Huge difference. There we go. Now we're going to start bringing it in. I'm going to show you what I do with little areas like this. Alright, that looks pretty good. Now we're going to go through and get all these little areas. Sorry, I'm on the wrong thing here. And always make sure you're working on the right layer. Now we're going to do the same thing again where we're going to darken up that area because obviously it doesn't match. They're back there. We're going to go to the proper layer where the image is pasted, and we're going to press Control M, and we're going to darken it a little bit. And that looks like it melds in pretty well. I'm going to retouch a little bit here where the areas are mixing so that they mix a little bit better. Perfect. Okay, so right now I am going to just flatten this because I really like it, and I don't have to have that many layers going on back here. Again, we can do the same thing here and sculpt her body here on this side. We can do it anywhere that you want to. But I'm going to teach you what I do with these areas here where there's highlights and darkness and all that. So when people have little bulges like that, you can go in and just darken them up a little bit, and it makes a big difference. And you can just do highlights if you want, so that it doesn't affect the rest of the layers, like the mid-tones or the darker layers. Just like this. There you go. That makes a pretty big difference right there. What else? Okay. So also another thing I want to bring up is when people have like wrinkles around or a little bit of dimpling around the arm, I always go in and smooth it out, smooth it all out. Here, I think she got makeup on that tattoo, so we're going to just remove it completely. That makes a big difference. Go all the way to that edge. This is where all of the dimpling usually occurs. Alright, that looks good. And I always even out skin tones from tan lines like this. Okay, there you go. And I'm going to liquefy her chin because she was kind of pulled her head back on this photo. And This is what I do, just like this. Again, nothing ridiculous, just so that it doesn't look unnatural. So there's the before and there's the after. That makes a huge difference. You can also go in and darken this area a little bit, like use the burn tool and just kind of darken it. Nope, I have it on highlight. Let's go into midtones. It makes a difference too. It just looks like there's shadow underneath the face. So you can go in and kind of play with that. I've also made a layer mask and added a brush, brushed in a color that's like a reddish tone so that it kind of matches the face a little bit better than the burning does. And I'll do that in another tutorial. But this is kind of an idea of what I do for layer masking. Here's the before and here's the after. You can see it makes a tremendous difference. And that's the end of this tutorial. I will be making more tutorials. If there's anything that you want to see, please feel free to comment below. And I didn't finish this image. There will still be a lot more that I would do for this photograph, but I am leaving it like this because really I just want you to know how to use the layer mask in order to make people look thinner. Thank you very much, guys, and have a great day.